this PP2, we have to discuss the scope of the inventory planning and control, what is the responsibility of the inventory manager or the material manager, what are the advantages and what are the limitations. Scope of the inventory planning goal defines which needs to addresses value analysis of inventory, measuring the change in the inventory, planning for the future inventory levels and the task. The value of the inventory at the end of each period and each season provides a basis for the financial reporting on the balance sheet. Measuring the changes in the inventory allows the company to determine the cost inventory sold during the period. Together, inventory values level changes allow the company to plan for the future inventory needs. So whatever that we are explaining the scope of the inventory control and planning. So this naturally there is a wider scope for the inventory control and planning to maximize the production and to add the value for the coming product, because it should be delivered at it is an appropriate time and it should go to the market for sale without any delay, and at the same time the stock, there will be a less capital involved in the stock should be maintained in a proper way. The record disposition program, each agency should complete an inventory of all records in a legal custody regardless of their location on physical form. Beside a paper records, inventory must include the electronic, audiovisual, misconception and other records, especially those started off-site in the laboratories and other locations. The inventory process should begin with the current records in the office space and concentrate on the program records maintained there. That's why the record documented on the unique substantiated the function of the which agency of the office is responsible. Means we have to maintain a physical record as well as the electronic record, so in regards to its locations, so that we came to know that detail of the inventory, a stock item in the item wise, that when it comes, it is used or not, whether it is used, then when it is used, and it is not used, the item has become obsolete, then proper action should be taken. And if it is used, okay, then we have to control the inventory by electronic means in regard to the locations, and when the item is obsolete, that location is to be physically inspected and see that how material is obsolete. This will be a clear example that when you go to the chemist shop, we will see that the chemist must see in the computer for locating a medicines or whether it is available in stocks, physical verification or physical locating of the material, the time has gone up. Now the chemist has to see in the computer that whether this material is available, whether this medicine is available and where it is located. Proper control of the inventory or the stock of medicine is there. If it is finished, so again he reorder the items. So such a vast inventory of thousands, 10,000s, lakhs cannot be controlled physically. It must be going through the proper software package. The inventory process should begin with the current records in the office space, concentrate on the program records, maintain there. That's why those records documenting the unit and subsume the function which is the for which agency office is responsible. Means the agency which is doing the monitoring or the manpower which is doing the monitoring is very cautiously to see the things, to observe the things, whether the item is available or the item is obsolete or item is located where is the stolen. So it will be clearly monitor all the functions of the inventory management. In inventorying the schedule means we have to focus on, normally includes the consideration of the record schedule arrangements. The schedule can be arranged by the organization, function and combination of both, and accordingly the schedule is maintained in the program so that the use of the application of inventory can be known. The responsibility of inventory planning and control. Normal record offices or experienced staff of members conduct the inventory planning and control because they are best equipped to understand the project process and concept involved. Normally, what are they doing that we have a skilled staff, trained staff for conduct the inventory planning and control. They are the storekeepers which are trained with the software package in the computers, and they are physically acquainted with all the segments of the warehouse, so that they can know that where the material is and what is the condition of material, when material will be used. This department has the requisition for that material. A proper scope of a proper inventory control is to reduce the cost. Means inventory control is reducing the operational and handling cost of running of a hospital. So in the case of hospital, we are discussing an inventory control system or a inventory management system of a corporate hospital, not a large scale, so that the inventory should be in proper way in studying the future and past requirement, so that we have to reduce the cost. The operational and handling cost of running a hospital should be reduced. Improve the service delivery. Suppose a patient is maintained in the hospital, either in a out OPD or inpatient departments, or maintained in wards, so that their services should not be hampered, and because the services require the materials, that will be properly monitored, and that should be made available to the wards or OPD quick in the time, so that hospitals should not suffer due to lack of materials. Because all the corporate hospital is required the profit. Definitely all the private and corporate hospitals, definitely the proper management of their services and items could increase their profit and improve the cash flow also, improve the liquidity also. Next point is that for the scope of that, improve the service condition of hospital, that in patient department or outpatient department, care should be taken in patient in casualty. Naturally the improvement of service conditions, because naturally in a corporate hospital the people goes for the more care and for the optimal payment. So definitely the hospital has to see each services in the inpatient, outpatient and emergency casualty should be maintained. There should be a proper, there is no shortage of material or service in these segments of the hospital. Increase the efficiency of man and machines. Definitely in the hospital, they will nowadays fully mechanized, either in X-ray or MRI or any of the health activities, health measuring activities, disease diagnosing activities. The machines has come up, so the skilled man definitely take a optimum time for each patient, because there will be a line for the sufficient patient, and more patient will be done if in a day in a proper way, giving a appropriate result. This will be a profit to the organization. This will be reducing the production, reducing the cost of the services. So definitely the profit will maximize. The last point, that improves patient satisfaction, goodwill in the hospital, health center and community, because when the patients saw that there are good services in OPD, in a good services in emergency and casualty, and a good services in ward, definitely trends have a good image of the hospital, and their credibility will be gone up. So people will used to visit that hospital more, and with the satisfaction, so that the treatment will be go in a very efficient line, and they will be free from the health problems. So this will create image of the corporate hospital, and it can have a good number of patients, good customers all the times, have a more customers all the time, so that the efficiency of the operational efficiency of the hospital should be maximized and profit may be maximized. In other words, we can say that is a backup system which is provided by the inventory control in manufacturing industry. Because when we are talking again to the manufacturing industry, we are talking again, come to the hospital, we explained, now we again talk to the manufacturing industry, because you see that inventory have a wide role in playing in the manufacturing industry. Inventory is a thing that make the company in loss or make the company in profit. So that is the stress on the inventory for a manufacturing industry is vital. that explains that. In other words, we can say that is a backup system which is provided by the inventory control in manufacturing industry when the product demand should be high, when the inventory control is used to help further control the situation. It also meet the demand of the customer, right time, right place to deliver the products. The ultimate result is that of the main production line, a systematic inventory control, that the customer will get the right time at the right quality, right place the material, so that the credibility of the firm or production unit will goes up, and the customer will rely on that item. It has a belief on the item, is a trust on the item, that this brand of item have a easy possession and have to have a good quality, so the firm credibility will go up. Now we are discussing the actually very typical thing, that when you are going for the disaster management, when the disaster and relief work, suppose the earthquake is there, suppose the flood situation is there, suppose a tsunami has come, suppose anything catastrophic failure is there, suppose any landsliding is done, suppose there is too much flood and cloud busting is done. In that case, in the emergency case, so we have a relief operations. These relief operations of a typical type, if we don't know the amount of loss, we have to only assess the amount of loss, and we have to maintain the inventory accordingly. So this will be a challenge to the inventory managers to control these situations and to supply for the relief work. This coordinating the emergency supply during aftermath of disaster is of the main challenge associated with the immediate response effort. Information also available is often known, and condition supplies can be unpredictable, because we don't know that what amount of loss will be there, what exactly it is not a deterministic losses, but it is probabilistic, not even probabilistic, but it is uncertain, because we don't know the things, what amount of people will affected, what loss will be there, and the state agencies are also unable to supply the data. So this will be unpredictable. So we have to, so in the we are discussing the relief work. So definitely the inventory required for the relief work is very tedious. So we have to assess each and everything, and in a predictable manner, and the following points related to the local administrations, local determination is useful for the handling of the situation in disaster relief work. Maximize the demand covered by the certain number of the facility, and like water, cloths, foods, medical treatments, blankets, and dresses for the flood affected areas. Minimize the demand weighted distance between the new facility and the demand points. Minimize the maximum service distance, follow the short way by the reach of the inventory. So we have to deal very much a specific way, that what are the material which is required, and the material required where the place and the storing place should be have a minimum distance. We have to maintain a store or a warehouse or a storing place just as possible as nearest to the affected area, so that we can supply in an easiest way the food, clothes, medicines, foods, water, cloths in a very efficient way to much more many of peoples as much required as many of peoples is there. To minimize the demand weighted distance between the new facility and the demand persist means we have to maintain a store or a warehouse just near to affected area. Minimize the maximum service distance, follow the short way by reach the inventory, and we have to reach the inventory in a very shortest possible way. So in the relief work, is a typical type of inventory management is required. It is inventory required in emergency and drastic steps. Drastic relief work is there, where we don't know the affected or how much material is required, but a assessment is to be done for the disaster and relief work, so that a sufficient number of the water, cloths, food, medical treatment, medicines, and the boats, if the flood is there, should be available to the affected area. Now, naturally, in India, there is a wide, or in the world even that way, the disasters has come very frequently nowadays. So this scope of the run for the government has to make a special department or a team, national disaster team, to naturally to do the work in a very efficient way. Now that we are coming to the how we are cost control in the organizations. What are the methods that we can cost control we can do by inventory in the way of the inventory control and management, that cost control in the organization. Manufacturing cost is controlled by definitely unwanted material or wastage or stolen material, or value analysis or inventory control or efficient utilization of the resources. Definitely we have to maintain a warehouse in a very, or a store in a very efficient way, so that electronic monitoring of the equipment, of the sub-assembly of the raw material should be done along with their location, so that we came to know that every item is maintaining the same quality, there is no stolen thing, there is no obsolete item. So to counter that, to overcome that one, a proper store management should be done. Inventory cost to a company to purchasing, storage, transportation and handling. The effective inventory control is that minimize these costs, means effective inventory management, not in a haphazard way, but in a proper inventory control and system, that to the minimize the cost in a purchase cost, is a storage cost, transportation cost, handling cost. Effective inventory control to minimize these costs, and by determining the shortest time required to receive the materials from supplies, or to produce goods to order, and to determine the minimum number of the raw materials or required repaired items to bring in order to the necessary to keep the record for any order, and the slips and invoke the and all the materials should be better managed, so that the people concerned with the inventory management should make win-win positions. Advantage. What are the advantages for the proper inventory control? Scientific inventory control provides the proper benefits. It improves the liquidity positions to run by reducing the unnecessary tying and capital in the excess inventories. It ensures the smooth production operation by maintaining a reasonable stock of materials. It facilitates the regular and timely supply to the customer, though adequate stock of the finished products. Now, the next item is that for the optimum controlling the cost, it protects the firm against the variation in the material and delivery time. It facilitates production scheduling, avoid shortage of materials and duplicate ordering. This is a very major point, that there is a chance of duplicate ordering. It will incur the more cost. So very care should be taken, or a monitorized computer should be done, that whenever is going for the requisition has come, it should be trans-checked by the computer that such order is in line, or previously order is done, it is located, the item is available. This should be observed by the computer monitoring. It helps to minimize the obsolescence, deterioration, or drainage, etc. Means that we have to minimize the obsolete, where the item will deteriorate, its quality has to deteriorate. We have to observe, we have to minimize this sort of the naturally demerits of the storage. We have to control this one, and we have to get better result by proper controlling of the inventory system. It enables the firms to take advantage of the price fluctuation through the economic and buying when prices are low. Means whenever sometime the market is having low side, there will be a quite slackness in the market. Then the management has store management has a clear view that we have to take the more material of need and more material of need, so that it can control the cost, minimize the cost of the ordering cost or procurement cost, also transportation cost also minimized, because bulk material is coming, so the transportation cost will be the minimized. So there will be economy for the procurement of items. Limitations. Efficient inventory planning controls the method, because there is some limitations, because everything cannot done by systematic inventory planning. There will be some limitation for that. The efficient inventory planning and control methods can reduce but cannot eliminate the business risk. There may be error. So the objective of the better through the improved service to the customer, reduction to the inventory, reduce the size of inventory, reducing the cost of production by smaller production operations are conflicting with each other. Means the two, suppose we have importance, we have inventories, reduction of inventories, at the same time we want the more inventory to start the continuous, to continue the production on very fast way. Both are conflicting with each other. The control of inventories too complex because the many functions are performed. It should view the shared responsibility. Inventory planning control is expensive. Definitely some cost will incur for definitely systematic planning and control. More skilled manpower is required and more expensive systems should be required. Difficulty to manage large scale inventory. It will be very difficult to manage a large scale inventory on a very much regular checks. It does not eliminate the business risk, because it cannot eliminate the business risk. Risk is always there. There is a keywords for the for some typical terminology used in the this PPT, that ABC classification. Whenever this will be described later on the classification part, but just a brief idea that ABC classification is classification of inventory in terms of their value, annual usage and categories. High value, medium value and low value. GIT, just in time management. This is the floor. This is implemented in floor. This was I will told you that this was by the Japanese industrial engineer for the car manufacturing, Toyota Engineering, for the works who manufacture the car. For the nowadays, every automobiles or the car manufacturing, they are using it to reduce the cost of the inventory in a very fast way. So just in time is a very efficient method to control the inventory, but efforts in the JIT is very wide. There will be quite monitoring of the transportation of items on the floor line whenever time is required, so that monitoring is very high way and a proper system of the observance is required. Next point is the EOQ. Economic order quantity is also explained in some modeling. When we are doing the modeling, mathematical modeling for we'll discuss the model for the optimum inventory control and ordering the quantity. Then we will detail it. Then now this is the economic order quantity, which already explained some brief in earlier, that minimize the total inventory cost. Means if you procure as per the EOQ, we have to minimize the total inventory cost. The summary, scope of the inventory must be understood by you. Definitely we have discussed the inventory importance and scope, and a wide range will be discussed, what are the limitations, what is the importance, how the different types of inventory management in the relief work, in the other types of work, in the production industry. We have discussed the management of the inventory and the costs associated with it. They explained the advantage and limitations of inventory planning and control, and optimization of inventory is also discussed. So we have already discussed their scope, limitations and advantage of the systematic inventory and control. We will discuss. Mainly focus of the advantage and the limitations is also there. So we now closes this chapter PPT 2.